Yeah. Remember last year though, it was not Mess Chamorro, but it was like Anu Chamorro,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and then COVID came. We need a redo on that. God, when did they announce that? Was that in March?
Yeah, March.
Yeah, they're like on you tomorrow. So, well, that didn't work out so well for us. 7:13. Let's head
We
to the
were kind
K.
of busy
Yeah, we're a little busy pandemicking.
trying to stay alive.
7:13. Ray Taposnia of GHURA in the KUAM News Zoom room. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Guam.
Hi, Ray. Congratulations. Well, the groundbreaking yesterday.
Oh yeah,
Can't wait to see that finished and completed.
Yeah, we're really excited about this project.
long time coming, right, Ray?
Yeah, I actually went to the board for approval over a year ago, and because of COVID, it was delayed significantly. And yesterday at 10 a.m., we actually broke ground. So we hope to finish this as soon as possible. It's a very badly needed facility, and I think it's going to be a game changer for Guam.
And it's one of many projects you guys are going to be working on this year with the facility over at Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center, the renovations of the DYA, I want to say cottages, down south. I want to say where, that you guys are going to be retrofitting or whatever. It's not going to be for youth anymore, but for drug recovery clients. And then you're also doing
Yeah,
the work with Guma Mommy for the solar panels. So a lot of work that you're going to be undertaking.
Collectively, Chris and Bree, we have about 34 separate construction projects. A lot of them don't make the news because it's renovating our public housing units and stuff like that. But for bigger events such as what we broke ground yesterday to the Women's Treatment Center in Tizen, that's where we issue press releases, and we want to share the great news. But yeah, going back to the Talafofu Cottage Homes, it's a facility that's been vacant since I think 2015. It's the former DYA Cottage Homes. So we've been working with the Guam Behavioral Health to renovate those buildings. There's about 3 buildings on a 21-acre piece of property. And we'd like to basically help them build a facility for another drug alcohol rehab facility, from what I hear, possibly for men. And as well, we have the we have the cottage homes. We did the concept document for a $8.7 million drug alcohol facility in Tamuning, and it's really new beginnings. So we've been talking to the governor as well to identify 8.7 million. I think 6 million has already been identified. So once all the money's available, we should be able to start design sometime soon. But if I can just say, we hope to complete 2 of the 3 projects sometime, at least with the Talafofu Cottage Homes, possibly before the end of the year, and with the Women's Treatment Center, possibly by next year.
Well, that's certainly good news. What you said, 34 projects that you guys are working on?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on with GHURA, and even though construction has slowed, we try and get creative. And if bids are not coming in because there's just not enough skilled labor, then we try to scale down the projects and then rebid it. So because my team is quite creative, we've been pretty successful. And so although construction has slowed, there's still a lot of work going on.
Let's talk about this audit. So it's not out yet, but what are you hearing?
Well, the audit's actually due today, and we're essentially done. At least my fiscal team has done everything they can to provide all the documentation to the independent auditors, and the audit deadline is actually today. But based on my review of the final draft, we're tracking to have the best audit in GHURA's 58-year history. Last year, we thought it was a significantly improved audit, although we got a lot of criticism, and probably because it's an election year. There was talk about receivership and all of that stuff. And, quite frankly, I talked to the our federal partners quite regularly, and there's never been any talk of receivership. So I think that's just perpetuating falsehoods during an election. But, that's water under the bridge. We actually have a better audit this year. We have 0 question costs, which I've not known GHURA to have 0 question costs. Last year, I think there was $7,000 in question costs. But even at that, when you're when you're overseeing as much as $112 million and you have 7,000 in question costs, that's 0.003% of our operations. And those question costs are even, our federal partners didn't even entirely agree with that. But at least this year, we're able to show that there are 0 question costs. There's a couple of things that are shown in the audit, but we don't even completely agree with that. And I think it's just a matter of certified public accountants on our side, CPAs on their side, not seeing or interpreting the regulations differently. But, we're the practitioners, so we feel our interpretation is more accurate. But, we have to work with the auditors, and we're excited that this will be the best audit we've ever had.
So that's coming out, did you say today, or your response is due today?
It's due today. I don't know when the OPA will officially release it. It'll probably be released as early as tomorrow, if not tonight.
Okay. I wanted to ask, are you guys seeing how many people have you guys helped from the global dorms in placing them into houses? Because you're part of OHAP, right?
I'm part of the Interagency Council for Homelessness, and OHAP is an organization. OHAP is actually a hybrid between the governor's office and the mayor's council. And Sarah Thomas Netadog is the executive director. But yeah, I'm part of the Interagency Council. And the council has actually contracted, or the governor's office has contracted with the Catholic Social Service to operate the Global Dorm Emergency Shelter. And our involvement really is to try and transition these folks from the shelter to some form of transitional housing or permanent housing. And we've had some success. But, keep in mind, some of the folks that we're trying to house, some of them may have some form of mental illness, or they just don't want to be helped. Or when we've done all through the efforts of the Guam Homeless Coalition, and we're a part of that as well. Once all the casework has been done on an individual and we're ready to house them, then they check out for some reason that we don't understand, and we're unable to find them. So, but we've had some success. We've had some success stories, and we've housed at least I've heard as many as 4 families in the last 3 weeks. And we've put them in a more permanent setting. So we're excited about that.
Are you seeing, though, more and more people coming in and applying for assistance, aside from, assisting with providing transitional housing for some of the homeless people? Because, we heard from GDOL last week that we've seen 19%, unemployment. We're still waiting for funds from the $660+ million in American Rescue Plan. We're trying to get our economy back on its feet. So have you seen more people coming in?
Well, even pre-COVID, GHURA's collectively amongst all of our wait lists, we have about 4,800, and that's with Section 8 and public housing and Guma Tranquilidad. But when we open our Section 8 wait lists, over 9,000 tried to apply, and we had to cut it off at about 1,500 because it's too costly and too much and too challenging to maintain a huge wait list. And so our federal partners have recommended that we actually maintain a 1,500 wait list, but collectively between Section 8 and public housing, we have about 4,800 on the wait list. And we've had that number even prior to COVID. But if I can just share, even with COVID, there's a moratorium and eviction, so we don't see the numbers escalating dramatically. But when the federal funds run out, it may be a different story.
Wow. What that's crazy. Where
Do
you
you
guys?
guys even have that kind of inventory?
No, we don't. We house. We are authorized to issue 2,582 vouchers. We have 750 public housing units and another 49 down at Guma Tranquilidad, and then about 1,500 under our low-income housing tax credit program. So collectively, we provide a home to at least 4,700 plus families and individuals. But there's more on our wait list, and that's just how it is. I wish we had more money. But I was talking to my deputy director yesterday, and I said, "Gosh, I mean, with our operating budget, and all the pass-through accounts, and the increase in the low-income tax credit allocation this year, we're looking at a $144 million operation."
All right. Well, thanks, Ray, for joining us this morning. Was there anything else? Any other updates?
Are you doing any of the relief programs, or was that migrated over to DO? Because there's the ERA, and then I thought you were doing like a mortgage one.
Well, we had a mortgage relief program that we partnered up with the Guam Housing Corporation. That didn't go very well because the federal regs were just too stringent. So as of today, there's only been 2 approvals of 100 and some that applied. I think 130 that applied. But I just got off the phone with our federal partners, and we think there might be some light at the end of the tunnel in terms of determining eligibility. So I think the numbers will look better in the next few days. And we're going to revisit some of these applications, but I don't want to take away the thunder of Guam Housing Corp. They're actually the administrators of the program. But we've also provided technical assistance and we're continuing to provide technical assistance to Department of Administration for the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. And that's the one with huge numbers. There's 2,500, I believe, that applied already for rent relief. So that is going very well because the regulations are not as stringent. And I believe under the American Recovery or the American Rescue Act plan, the $661 million, there's a lot more money coming in for rent relief and mortgage relief.
You have a figure on how much?
No, because the feds haven't told us that. I have an estimate, but I don't want to speak out of without getting information in advance directly from federal authorities.
When you say that the federal regs were too stringent, what do you mean?
When Congress, as you know me, Chris, I just say what's on my mind if it's factual. But when Congress passed all these pandemic relief programs, there wasn't a lot of thought, and probably because this is the first time we've had a pandemic in 100 years, there wasn't a lot of thought as to whether some of these programs will end up canceling each other out. So if you received if the income levels are set at a certain threshold and you have like 4 or 5 in your family receiving PUA, it could easily put you above that threshold level, and then you would be deemed ineligible for mortgage relief. So that's some of the challenge we face. And then the federal regs would say, well, you have to take into account your real estate assets, in particular, the primary home. Well, if you've lost your job and everyone in the family lost their job, but your house is worth $250,000, it kicks you above that income threshold, and then you're deemed ineligible. So it's stuff like that that I wish there was more thought put into the passage of these pandemic relief programs, and we would have a lot more success. The administration and myself have taken a big, have gotten a lot of criticism because there's a lot of people suffering out there. We recognize that, and we sympathize with that, but I cannot violate federal rules, and I wish Congress had passed laws that make it a lot easier for us to distribute the money or disperse the money.
Yeah, I remember you talking about this a couple months ago about this particular issue.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the other thing is if you've entered into an agreement with your bank, like if you're 6 months late on your mortgage, and the bank allows you what they call deferment or forbearance, which means they take that 6 months and they put it at the tail end, then federal regs say, well, then you're not delinquent on your loan, so therefore we can't help you. And I think that makes absolutely no sense. You're still 6 months behind. They're just pushing it to the tail end to pay it off. But I think if you've lost your job due to COVID, then you should be deemed eligible. But the federal regs will say, well, no, you're not delinquent on your loan because you've deferred the payment to the end. And that makes very little sense to me, but I'm not the one that makes those regs.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll circle back with you when that audit comes out. Are you sure is it spotless, you said?
It's not spotless. And like I said, when you handle the amount of money we handle, there's bound to be a different interpretation of our regs, but we actually got a clean audit on financials, which means all the numbers add up. Right. And then 3 of the major 4 programs that we audited, we got clean audits on those. And then the one audit where we had a modified opinion, we're not in full agreement with the auditors on what their findings were, but we forwarded that to federal authorities for their interpretation. We're not going to get a response in time. So it is what it is. I mean, we disagreed with what they said. And I'll give you an example. Our procurement rules, when I first came on board, were more stringent than GovGuam's. Well, that, according to our auditors, is an audit finding. Now, if it was a little bit more lenient based on GovGuam thresholds, then I can see that being a finding. But because ours are more stringent, which means we would have to put things out to bid at a lower threshold, which I think is a good thing. But nonetheless, because it's not consistent with GovGuam, they determined that to be an audit finding. So we made that correction immediately, but it's still an audit finding this year because the auditors are saying, well, it takes 2 years to clean that up. I said, yeah, but we cleaned it up last year. Oh, well. It's, again, 2 different interpretations.
Yeah. I mean, there was a little snarky between you and the public auditor last year, right? There was a little tit for tat.
Well, it's water under the bridge, but, you know, he said we're going into receivership. We haven't gone into receivership, nor will we go into receivership. So I'll leave it at that.
Right on. Well, thank you, Ray, for your time.
Thank you. You guys have a nice day.
You have a great day, my friend.
Stay safe.
Okay. Wash your hands. Flashback. Way back Wednesday. Wash your hands. Oh, that took me back. Whoa. 7:32. Yeah, Bree, that's crazy. With this, a lot of this assistance, like even with the whatchamacallit? The ERA, which is the DOA rental assistance, rental and utilities assistance, arrears. So we had Bernie Guinness on about it